How's it going, guys? Vaibhav here and welcome back to another video. Now today I want to discuss the future of consumer electronics and whether or not AR/VR glasses have a space in the market in the next couple of years. And this topic sort of sprung up on me when I watched John Prosser's video from Front Page Tech on Apple Glass, which he basically leaked a year in advance, so that's a pretty incredible feat, and he's basically doing that for every single Apple product of this year. He's done it for the Apple SE or iPhone SE 2020, he's done it for the iPhone 12, which is coming out in a couple of months. He's now done it for Apple Glass, and if you want to check him out, he'll be the first link down in the description. Do give it a watch. I think it's a great video, great amount of leaks, and we're gonna go over them as well on this video, but the source is from Front Page Tech. But before we get into that, I want to discuss Google Glass. So the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of smart glasses is Google Glass, because I think they were one of the first ever companies to sort of delve into the product, and the product looked great. I mean, this thing was touted to be the future of consumer tech. It had all of the things you'd imagine even nowadays for this futuristic product of you interacting in the air, and Marques Brownlee did a video on it as well, and I was expecting to do one as well, albeit a very small or non-existent YouTube channel back in the day. Not that I have any sort of public following now, but anyway, enough of that. I think the two major reasons why this thing didn't work out is one, the price. It was priced at $1,500, which is an insane amount of money even today. So imagine 7 years ago, people weren't really free to spend that much money, and secondly, it was invading privacy. So this thing could record conversations in the mall, in the bar, in hotels, etc., etc., and people didn't really like that. And because of that, Google sort of shifted focus from a consumer-centric approach to more of an enterprise-level approach, where they help manufacturing industries, logistics, and healthcare sectors. So I think that makes a lot of sense. So people, let's say, who don't have, the ability to sort of interact with emotions, they could use these pair of glasses and maybe bring about some sort of ability to interact with them and things like that. I think that sort of picked up, and there's a second gen version of Google Glass as well, particularly for the enterprise section of the market, but not so much with consumer technology. Now with the Apple Glass, it looks like Apple is going for a completely different approach, and the first sort of image I want to pop up here is the price. This thing is going to be priced at $499, which is already 3 times less, or is it 3 times? Yes, it's 3 times less expensive than Google Glass, which Apple is doing a phenomenal job at. So who knew? Apple is one of the companies that sort of charges the most for their products, but it looks like with these Apple Glass variants, they're going to be charging one of the least price tags for the glass, of course, with the price of prescription. And this is probably going to make glasses with tech mainstream, because let's face it, Apple can do that. Apple has the power to really make anything go mainstream. If they released a bottle of water that had Apple branding, it would probably sell in millions. So I'm guessing this would as well. And the glasses look very identical to what Tim Cook wears, and they're gonna basically make glasses cool, so I won't feel left out. But yeah, that's basically gonna be the price of the glasses, $499, which I didn't expect at all. If we go into availability now and sort of the functioning of how they work, so all of the data on Apple Glass is gonna be processed on the iPhone, which is what Apple Watch did in its first generation. So I don't think that's sort of a major takeaway from this, but it was actually planned to be a one more thing announcement at Q4 2020 with the iPhone 12 announcement. So if you go ahead and watch Front Page Tech's video, actually, they talk about the iPhone 12 launch being delayed in October, and if they're planning to do that, they might as well release these glasses, but because of the whole COVID situation, they might not do it until later, and that could be Q1 of next year, basically in March, with their next event, and that would be a delay of approximately 6 months when we see this product. But if everything goes well and sort of the restrictions are lifted or eased, in a timely manner, and people are safer to attend these large-scale gatherings, we could see this at the iPhone 12 launch as a one more thing special. And I think Apple really wants people to be there when they release this, because if they do it online, it doesn't have that much of hype. That being said, this thing is only going to be available to public in Q4 of 2021. So that's a big gap between when they announce it and when they release it. And I think that makes sense, because this sort of technology needs time to mature, and by then they'll have enough information to, like, or sort of cater to the likes of people and what they want when it comes to this technology. Now, if we go into the next image, John actually saw a prototype of this actual pair of glasses. Now, he said this was made in plastic and the final material could change, which obviously makes sense. The final one could have a metal frame and the final design could look different, and they're meant to be like glasses. So they're not meant to be these high-tech version of glasses. They're meant to be regular pairs of glasses. And I don't know why I'm showing you this other one. I'm wearing one right now, so you could probably just, see that for yourself. But yes, they're meant to be regular pair of glasses that have this added functionality, and that's what Apple is going for with Apple Glass. Now, they're gonna have a LiDAR sensor on the right temple and no other cameras on that prototype, seemingly to address privacy, and that makes sense. I don't think Apple wants to go the route Google went 7 years ago, and if they have a LiDAR sensor which basically senses AR and sort of augmented reality and goes for that approach, I think it would be more receptive to the public, and that makes sense. Now, they're going to be wirelessly charged, so if you flip them upside down and you basically prop them on a stand according to John, and they charge. So all of that sounds great, but that LiDAR sensor is very, very important when we talk about software. So the display on this thing is going to be through both lenses, and the UI is going to be Starboard. So if you remember, iOS is actually based on a UI called Springboard, so Starboard makes sense. Now, it's going to be controlled via gestures, so moving your hands up and down, and it's going to be really a cool concept. It's also going to scan proprietary Apple QR codes, and let me get to that in just a second. And unfortunately, it won't have support for sunglasses. So if people want a pair of Snapchat glasses replacements, all the 5 people who use that product, they'll be disappointed because you can't do that with the Apple Glass. But again, it's a first generation product, so I don't think it matters. I think with this product, it's going to go mainstream. Everyone's going to start wearing glasses. And then with the next generation, we're going to start seeing sunglasses as well. But that LiDAR sensor actually came in with the new iPad series this year. It brought in the LiDAR sensor, which was really cool. The iPhone 12 series is also bringing in the LiDAR sensor. And supposedly the LiDAR sensor will help to gather information to the Glass team. So basically the Glass team wants as much information as they can get about everything that people do with the LiDAR sensor and sort of incorporate all of that into Apple Glass to make Apple Glass a finished and refined product. Now, as far as the QR codes go, we've actually seen a few funky little QR codes in the past. This is from Unknown Z21. He's basically someone who tweeted these, and then 9to5Mac also made an article on this, and all of these could link with the AR glasses in question. Now, as far as whether or not these would be successful, I've already mentioned that. I think whenever Apple does something, they always do it with the mindset of making it mainstream. And we've seen that with the iPhone, we've seen that with the MacBook series, we've seen it with the iPad even. Now they're focusing on making iPads the next computers, and I think this is a next step for Apple. And especially at $499, it makes it accessible to pretty much anyone. Imagine spending your money on an iPhone SE 2020 and a pair of these and basically being done full on in the Apple ecosystem for less than $1,000. Now, who imagined that a couple of years ago? I certainly didn't. But yeah, I think what Apple is doing with Apple Glass makes a lot of sense. They're making it a regular design that basically appeals to anyone, and they're bringing in features that people would actually value when it comes to a product or a pair of glasses that is connected to technology. Now, whether or not other companies adopt this, it's not certain, because other companies are sort of moving into this flexible smartphone lineup. So with the Samsung series, we've seen the Galaxy Fold, we've seen the Galaxy Flip. With Huawei, we've seen the Mate X and we've seen the Mate XS. And I haven't really heard of Samsung or Huawei focusing on a pair of glasses, but that could change. I mean, they have the R&D to make a pair of glasses in the next 6 months and announce it with their future flagship smartphones. And who knows, maybe they're working on one right now and it hasn't leaked yet. But I don't think Apple is going for that flexible sort of smartphone launch, because they've realized that it's a bit harder to gain that mass market sort of public attention. You need to have people who can afford foldable smartphones, and being Apple, I don't think they would actually sell foldable smartphones for anything less than $1,500 plus. So going for this approach makes total sense. They've made it affordable. They've made it unique enough for people to actually want one of these. They've made it really hyped up. People are talking about Apple Glass every single day of their lives, and I think with this they're finally gonna get it. Now, as far as when we see it, it'll probably be next year, as I said, and if this COVID situation is sorted out very quickly, we'll see it at the end of this year, and I'm hoping we do as well. But those were my thoughts on basically Apple's AR glasses, AR and why it failed with Google, and whether or not other companies will also be working on these. I'll be surprised if we don't see other companies also coming up with their rendition of these glasses. I'm pretty sure it's inevitable. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. This was Vaibhav, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.